Welcome to today's exciting episode of the Law Show. Now, this is part 2 in the series of how the Land Use Act preserved the rights of the Oba of Benin over communal land in Benin Kingdom after 1978. Okay, so now in this particular episode, we'll be looking at whether the Oba of Benin can still sign approvals for transfer of land, communal land, in Benin after 1978. Can the Oba of Benin still sign approvals for transfer of communal land after 1978 Land Use Act? That's what we'll be looking at. And don't go away. We will be right back with you. Yeah, so now, that's a simple question. Can the Oba of Benin still sign approvals after Land Use Act of 1978? Now, remember that in part 1, if you have not watched part 1, you should please go and watch part 1 of this episode so that you can follow. Now, in part 1, we read the judgment of the High Court of Edo State, which I respect a lot. However, I tend to respectfully and humbly and grovelingly disagree with, because that decision said that before the Land Use Act 1978, land in Benin was vested in the Oba of Benin, who held same in trust for the common good of all. I agree with that. Since the coming into effect of the Land Use Act, the Oba of Benin ceased to be the custodian of land in Benin. The Oba of Benin ceased to be the custodian. I don't agree with that, respectfully. I don't agree with that. Okay, because we look at the Land Use Act and there is no section that says the Oba of Benin ceases to be the custodian of land in Benin Kingdom. In actual fact, what we found, section 34(1) and 2 of the Land Use Act, is that all land in Benin, which was an urban area and that is developed, which was held by the Oba as custodian, continued to be so held by the Oba immediately upon commencement of the act. Now, you know that the Oba of Benin is a customary head of Benin Kingdom. He's a customary head. He's the repository of the customs and traditions of the Beninese. He is the in a sense, all land in Benin before 1978 was vested in him as trustee to manage for the common good of all. Okay, all land, sort of parenthesized into communal land, all communal land, not private land, because he doesn't actually come and manage your father's land or your father's house. Okay, but communal land, okay, all communal land in Benin was held by the Oba. And that when the Land Use Act came into effect in 1978, all such land continued to be held by the Oba under customary law. Now, there are those who say no, the power of the Oba ceased to be the custodian of land in Benin. So the question now is, did the coming into effect of the Land Use Act abrogate customary law tenures? Did it abrogate customary systems of land ownership? Did the coming into effect of the Land Use Act abolish community ownership of land? Did it abolish, how land was transferred in our communities? I have some decisions of the Supreme Court here which will answer this question. This case is the case of Chief S.O. Ogunola and 6 others, and Hode Ayekole and 9 others. Supreme Court decision 1987 was delivered by the Supreme Court in Lagos. How many judges? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 judges. July 13, 1990. Okay. They delivered it on July 13, 1990. In fact, our own Andrew Otutu Obaseki, Justice of the Supreme Court, as he then was on this panel. I don't know whether he read the lead judgment, but anyhow, this is summary of the decisions of that case. Okay? Ratio 3. It is a wrong assumption that since the Land Use Act came into force, that all incidents of customary land tenure have been wiped off by the Act. You see? It is a wrong assumption that since the Land Use Act came into force, that all incidents of customary land tenure have been wiped off by the Act. So it's a wrong assumption. In other words, since the Land Use Act came in, it did not wipe off incidents of customary tenure. Incidents of customary tenure remained. If you were a customary tenant or with a customary overlord, you remained, both of you remained in that your position. The customary tenant remained customary tenant, the overlord remained overlord. I hope you are with me. Okay? So that's what that's what the court held here. Okay? Possession under customary law, this is ratio 7. Possession under customary law in respect of the same piece of land can coexist in the owner and the tenant. The Land Use Act was not intended to transfer the possession of the land from the owner to the tenant by whom the owner is in possession. Now in this case, the tenants try to claim the land of their Oga on the contention that since the Land Use Act came into effect, after that they were in possession, and therefore they are the one to apply to the governor to give them statutory right of occupancy. The court said no. Now, there's another decision here decided in 1987 by the Supreme Court. In fact, this one was a full panel of just 7 justices of the Supreme Court. Mohammed Bello, JSC as he then was, read the lead judgment. Mohammed Bello later became the Chief Judge of Nigeria. Again, our very own from Edo State, Andrews Otutu Obaseki, JSC, as he then was also on the panel. It's the case of Garuba and Abioye and others versus Saidu Yakubu. It's a 1991 reported in Law Pavilion Electronic Law Report, Supreme Court 169/1987. This is what the lead justice, Mohammed Bello, said. My Lord, this is what my Lord said. I want to quote. He says, land is still held under customary tenure, even though the dominion is in the governor. Land is still held under customary tenure, even though dominion is in the governor. So, if land is still held under customary tenure, since the Land Use Act came in, how then can somebody articulate that the Oba has ceased to be the custodian of land in Benin Kingdom? The Oba's custodianship was pursuant to customary law, was under customary law. And the Supreme Court said, we read it before, in this case, Ogunola and Ayekole, that it's a wrong assumption that since the Land Use Act came into force, that all incidents of customary land tenure have been wiped off by the Act. This was not wiped off. The incidents continued. And here, the Supreme Court again said, land is still held under customary tenure, even though dominion is in the governor. So if land is still held under customary tenure, it then means that the Oba of Benin remains in his primary position as far as land in Benin Kingdom is concerned. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Let's read further. We can figure out if I'm wrong or if I'm right. The most pervasive effect of the Land Use Act is the diminution of the plenitude of the powers of the holders of land. Thank you, my Lord. Listen to this one. Please listen, I beg you. The character in which they hold land remains substantially the same. The character. It says the most pervasive effect of the Land Use Act is the diminution, that is the reduction of the many types of powers of the holders of land. But then it says the character in which they hold land remains substantially the same. Thus, an owner of customary land remains owner all the same. This is the Supreme Court decision. Abioye and Yakubu. The owner and owner of customary land remains owner all the same. Even though he's no longer the ultimate owner. The owner of the land now requires the consent of the governor to alienate interest, which hitherto he could do without such consent. Agreed. We need the consent of the governor. But the owner remains the owner. You cannot say that the Oba, in whom the land was vested before the Land Use Act came into effect, oh, it's no longer, the land is no longer vested in him. You can't say that. Now the issue here, the issue in this case was whether, having regard to the provisions of the Land Use Act, customary owners are entitled to be granted declaration of title to a parcel of land against their customary tenant. So it was between the tenant and the owner who should be granted declaration of title to a parcel of land. Of course, the Supreme Court leaned, in fact bent, in fact sided the customary owners of the land. I'm going to give you another one. This one was against a lawyer's family after the lawyer died. This one is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. There was a popular lawyer in Lagos called E.A. Molajo, senior advocate of Nigeria. So he bought a parcel of land, and while he was alive, he registered it. So he had his documents of title and registered the land. Then one of his friends, who was a chief, came to him and said, please, could you give this land to my boy, is a mechanic, you know, to be, since the land is vacant. So he said, okay, that's fine, let him stay there. So the mechanic remained on the land. At least this is the story of the family of E.A. Molajo, SAN. That their father put the mechanic into possession of the land as a tenant. He was giving him something periodically. But you know, mechanic, the senior advocate had money, he wasn't really, you know, going to check the land. And then he died. When he died, his children went to the land only to discover that the mechanic had now chased them away, that he's now the owner of the land. How? Mechanic said he bought the property from one Sanyaolu family in Lagos. And he had gone to the governor had given him a certificate of occupancy over the land. He denied that he was not a tenant of Molajo SAN late. He said he didn't know the people. He bought the land. He got certificate of occupancy. So the issue now was, two documents were in contest in the court. The certificate of occupancy by the mechanic, who had now become a big man. He was a mechanic, but now a big man, owning land in Lagos. Big land in the center of Lagos. That's his document against the mere deed of transfer, which the family of Molajo had. The two documents were now in conflict. So the matter went up to the Court of Appeal. In the Court of Appeal, the Court of Appeal said, well, as far as we are concerned, the certificate of occupancy issued by the governor, we are not denying the governor have power to issue certificate of occupancy. But if you have a certificate of occupancy which you owned, given to you by the governor, but you did not own title to the land, first of all, your certificate is a nullity. Certificate is a nullity. Okay. Don't take my word for it. Let me read from the book. Okay, this one is Gani Fawahimi's Nigerian Weekly Law Report, part 1235. If you are a lawyer, part 1235 is 2011 3 Nigeria Weekly Law Report, part 1235. And this case is reported at pages 434. But I'm reading from page 438. Ratio 2. For a certificate of occupancy to be valid, please listen, please listen. I love this. I love it. I love it. For a certificate of occupancy to be valid, they must not be in existence at the time the certificate was issued, a customary owner. Huh? Certificate of occupancy, customary owner? Yes. For a certificate of occupancy to be valid, they must not be in existence at the time the certificate was issued, a customary owner who has not been divested of his or her title. So if there's a customary owner, so the word owner is still used after Land Use Act. Not big owner. It's a customary owner, like the one that inherited it from his father, like the one that bought it from one farmer there. It said for a certificate to be valid, they must not be in existence at the time the certificate was issued, a customary owner who has not been divested of his or her title. In the instant case, the title of the first and second respondents, that's the children of Molajo, obtained under their registered conveyance, still subsisted and had not been extinguished when the appellant's certificate of occupancy was issued to him. I have done videos where I have told people that a certificate of occupancy is a worthless document. Okay, let me complete the sentence. A certificate of occupancy issued by the governor of a state to you is worthless if you do not buy the land from the owner. It's worthless. I've said so before. Go and watch some of the videos on our bouquet. Okay, you can see some of them there. And you can see it here now. Let me continue. The court talked about the condition for validity of certificate of occupancy. By virtue of section 34 of the Land Use Act 1978, any person, please listen, let me read it again, let me see it properly. By virtue of section 34 of the Land Use Act 1978, any person without title to a parcel of land in respect of which a certificate of occupancy was issued acquires no right or interest which he did not have before. I thought they say when governor gives you certificate of occupancy, that is the end of the world. In fact, from now till eternity, the land belongs to you. Look at Court of Appeal saying, by virtue of section 34 of the Land Use Act, which is section 34, 1 and 2, where we have been reading, deemed grant. The day the Land Use Act came into effect, the person who was vested, the land was vested in, remains the owner. He says, by virtue of section 34 of the Land Use Act 1978, any person without title, if you do not have title to a parcel of land, and a certificate of occupancy was issued to you, you acquire no right or interest. In the instant case, from the pleadings and evidence adduced, the appellant failed to show the root of his vendor's title to the land. In other words, they asked him, how did Sonyaolu family that sold to you, Mr. Mechanic, how did they get the land? Oh, let me read this one. I'm sure you are going to love this one. The court went on to say, consequently, the certificate of occupancy, Exhibit AA, issued to the appellant by the third respondent was defective. The third respondent was the governor. He said, the court said it was defective and could not be basis for a valid claim. So, the certificate issued by the governor was inferior to the customary title. That's my submission. When it comes to land in Benin Kingdom, the certificate being issued by the governor is inferior to the customary title of the Oba. I'm going to say it again. The customary vesting of title in the Oba remains superior to the certificate of occupancy being issued by the governor. So for those who think that the Oba has ceased to be custodian of land in Benin Kingdom, you are not on the side of the law. In fact, you are laboring outside the law. Let me put it like that. That's a nice way to put it, okay? I beg. Okay. Okay. Sometimes it's good to speak Igbanka in this thing so that, because English is not really our dialect. We are not English people. Okay? So I'm an Igbanka man. So once in a while, I'll soon on Igbanka. 4. On condition for validity of certificate of occupancy. Listen, for a certificate of occupancy to be valid, it's not just that, oh, I have a certificate, governor has given me a certificate. It still must be valid. You have a certificate, but the certificate is invalid. The Court of Appeal said, if the issuance of a certificate of occupancy is not in accordance with the land tenure law, certainly the certificate is defective and the holder has no basis for a valid claim. Land tenure law and the land tenure of the Beninese is that you cannot sideline the Oba, His Royal Majesty, when you come to communal land issues in Benin Kingdom. The people that he has put there, the Enige, the Ohen, the Odionweres, and all those elders who hold fort for the Oba, are the ones authorized by the Oba to dispose of communal land to whomsoever they please. And that disposition under customary law remains valid. When it comes in conflict with a certificate of occupancy issued by the governor, the certificate must bow. That is the law. Okay, let's read on. To be valid, that's the certificate of occupancy. For it to be valid. Now, if you are a lawyer and you are watching this, you will agree with me on one point. We may disagree on many things. You may not like me. You may not like the way I talk. You may not like the way I smile. You may not like many things about me. But there's one thing you will like about me. That I say, in all authorities, there is no situation where a court has ever invalidated Oba's approval. None. No judge has ever pronounced this Oba's approval is hereby declared incompetent, invalid. No. The judge can say it is forged. There are people who forge documents. The judge can say, okay, there are cases where, like in Otiti Gold and Asarere, the case we read that in part 1 of this video, where you had one person who had Oba's approval in 1961, you had another one who had Oba's approval over the same parcel of land in 1963. The court did not say the 1963 one is illegal, is null and void, and is hereby nullified. No. The best that the court could do, from the customary court to grade customary court to the high court to the Supreme Court, the best they could pronounce was to say that the first in time prevailed by the law of what the lawyers call it, the law of equities. When two equities are equal, the first in time prevails. If there is a girl now and one boy has gone to pay bride price now, and after another boy comes and pays bride price, and some family accept. So remember, the first one who paid bride price, that is the husband now, because he's the one that paid first. When the two equities are equal, the first in time prevails. But the court has never nullified an approval granted by the Oba. I have never seen it. So if you have an authority to that effect, please educate me. So, but there are numerous certificates of occupancy that have been nullified. Like in this case, the certificate was nullified. Let's read on. To be valid, there must not be in existence at the time the certificate was issued a customary owner who has not been divested of his or her title. In other words, customary ownership, when it came into conflict with a certificate of occupancy issued pursuant to the Land Use Act, the certificate bowed. Several authorities were cited here: Registered Trustees of Apostolic Church and Oluwo Leni, Jagade and Citycom Nigeria Limited, Aruna and Ojuku, etc., were cited. Now, does the court have power to check whether a certificate of occupancy is valid or not? Ratio 5. A certificate of occupancy is prima facie evidence of title to land, but not conclusive proof of title. So it's not conclusive proof. And the court has the power to inquire into the validity and existence of title. Oh, that's this one. Oh, should I read another one? Should I read another one? Should I read another one? Let's read another one. This one came from Benin, appeal all the way to the Supreme Court. Usiobaifo against Usiobaifo. Very popular case. Usiobaifo against Usiobaifo. The dispute related to family property. The head of the family sold the property without the consent of his brothers, Ishan people. So as the first son, he had done burial, he is to inherit everything. So he sold the land with the house. The dispute arose because his other brothers said we were not part of it. The land had not been shared. When the case got all the way to the Supreme Court, Supreme Court did not say, no. You don't have power again. Under the land use, since the Land Use Act came into effect, family ownership of land has been abolished. Go away. No, Supreme Court did not say that. What did the Supreme Court say? I will read it. On principles applied in alienation of family land. Family land. Family land. So family can still alienate. But alienate means to sell, to dispose of, either to sell, to rent, or whatever. That's to alienate. Big English. But it just means for family to transfer land to another person. I thought we read in that law that Bukar and Bashir, that absolute ownership of land by families, communities and individuals became abolished. I thought they have abolished ownership of family land. This is a decision. When was this one? 2005. Actually, it was read by the Court of Appeal. In fact, 2016. Wait a minute. Baifo and Usiobaifo is a 2005 decision, but was relied on by the Court of Appeal, in 2016. We are making this video now in 2020, so 4 years ago. The Court of Appeal Ibadan Division relied on the decision of the Supreme Court in Usiobaifo and Usiobaifo and stated, where there is a sale or conveyance of family land. Family land? I thought somebody said family land had been abolished, but that's okay. Where there is a sale or conveyance of family land by the head of the family with some important members thereof, but without the consent of some principal members of the family, the transaction is voidable, and those members who should have consented to the transaction but did not can take out an action to have the transaction set aside. In other words, if the head of the family sells land without the consent of other principal members, it's voidable. Family land. So we can still talk of family land? Yes. B, the sale or conveyance of family land by a member of the family who is not the head of the family is void. The sale or conveyance of family land by a member who is not the head is void. If the head sells without the other members, it can be cancelled. It's not automatically cancelled. You can still meet them and say, oh, sorry, I came to your house, you were not at home. The man paid 10 million. Okay, make una take una home. Everybody say, okay, we're happy. But they say when a member who is not the head sells the land, it is null and void. C, the sale or conveyance of family land by the head of the family without the consent of principal members of the family is voidable. The sale, D, the sale or alienation of family land by the head of the family as his own land is void. If the head of a family wants to sell land and says it is my land and sell it, but it's family land, the court say that one will not stand up. Nothing can save that sale. But the interesting thing is, in all of this, the Supreme Court kept talking about family land, family land, family land, which means that family land post exists the Land Use Act. It continues to exist after the Land Use Act. It was not abolished by the Land Use Act. If before the Land Use Act came into effect, land was owned by a family, after the Land Use Act, that land will continue to be owned by that family. Okay, that's Usiobaifo and Usiobaifo. Okay, being relied upon by the Court of Appeal in Ajasa and Elegbede. Do I need to read anything from Ajasa and Elegbede? I think everybody should be happy with this. Any other one I need to show you guys? On this point, I've got a couple here. I've got enough. But let's just take a break. If you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please, you need to subscribe, and do let us have your opinion. Okay, this one is still on family land. No need family land, family land. Okay, I like this one though. I'll just give you this last one. How many minutes have we done? Let's not be too long. 34. Okay, so we'll just do up to like 40 minutes, and then we'll stop there. This is Njoku against Emenike. Njoku against Emenike. The issue is, and I'm using all of this to support the proposition that customary land tenure survived the Land Use Act. And under customary law of the Benin, the Oba was the custodian of all land in the Benin Kingdom. Okay, all communal land in the Benin Kingdom. So the custom where the Oba was the head, the custodian of all land in the Benin Kingdom, survived the Land Use Act. The decision or the situation whereby the Oba is not directly involved now in sale and alienation of land in Benin Kingdom is something that I cannot understand. There must be a good reason for it. I don't understand it. I've searched and I cannot find any sort of legal justification for it. I even venture to suggest, and I'm venturing to suggest, that the Oba has the right to challenge even certificates of occupancy granted over community land where he did not consent. Where he did not consent. Because under Benin custom, the Oba must consent. He must approve, either directly or tacitly. Either directly or indirectly, he must grant his approval. So where there is any transfer or sale of community land, of communal land in Benin Kingdom without the approval of the Oba, that sale is imperiled. Imperiled. Okay, so let's just look at what are the what is the legal support for the fact that, you know, communal land, sale of community land, what are the factors for a valid sale of land under customary law to show that after the Land Use Act you can still sell land under customary law? So the postulation that you need to go to the governor for land is with all due respect, and I bow when I say this, I bow out of respect, it's not the correct position of the law. Recently, I'm reading from this case in Njoku and Emenike. Now, Njoku and Emenike is reported decision 2017, volume 9, weekly reports of Nigeria. You can find it at page 130. Okay, ratio 4. On factors to prove a valid sale of land under customary law. Quote, recently in Ogundalu versus McJob, 2016, 4 weekly report 28, the Supreme Court further considered this legal position. Justice of the Supreme Court Rhodes Vivor, while delivering the lead judgment, had this to say. In Odusoga versus Ricketts, 1997 Supreme Court judgment, this court held that to constitute a valid sale of land under customary law, 3 essential ingredients are required. This is a decision of the Supreme Court 1997. 3 essential ingredients to constitute a valid sale of land under customary law. 1, payment of the purchase price. payment of the purchase price. You must pay the person who owns the land. 2, the purchaser is let into possession by the vendor and in the presence of witnesses. That's all. It follows that where the purchase price is not fully paid, there can be no valid sale, even if the purchaser is in possession, as in this case. You see, the Supreme Court keeps using the word sale. It keeps using the word purchase price. If you want to acquire land in Benin, are you going to go and pay the governor for the land? Where part payment of the purchase price was made and the purchaser defaults in paying the balance within a reasonable time, the vendor would be at liberty to resell, since legal title remains with the vendor. You see, legal title remains with the vendor until purchase price is paid by the purchaser. How then can anyone actually argue that individual ownership has been, has been abolished, family has been abolished, community ownership has been abolished? I humbly and respectfully say that from the authorities of the Supreme Court, and I end on this note, and I need to get that so that I can read it out again. The decision of the Supreme Court in Abioye and Yakubu, that remains the position of the law. Land is still held under customary tenure, even though dominion is in the governor. The most pervasive effect of the Land Use Act is the diminution of the plenitude of the powers of the holders of land. But the character in which they hold the land remains substantially the same, both before and after the Land Use Act. And if that is so, then it means that the Oba of Benin, who was the custodian of all land in Benin Kingdom before the Land Use Act, will remain and remains the custodian of all land in Benin Kingdom after the Land Use Act. I beg to submit. Bye-bye.